You ever feel like you're invisible? Like no matter how hard you work, nobody sees you? That's me, Ethan Calloway. I'm not the guy who gets invited to happy hours or asked for opinions in meetings. Hell, half the time people don't even remember my name unless they need something fixed. But that's fine. I'm used to it. I've spent most of my life behind screens, coding solutions to problems other people can't solve. And honestly, I prefer it this way. Fewer headaches, less drama. Nexera Tech is where I've been parked for the last 5 years. It's one of those flashy Silicon Valley companies with glass walls, free kombucha on tap, and a CEO who talks about changing the world while cutting corners to hit quarterly earnings. My desk sits in a corner of the open plan office, tucked away from the noise. Most days, I put on headphones and dive into lines of code like it's my own little universe. Right now, I'm working on Project Aegis. If you haven't heard of it yet, trust me, you will soon. It's supposed to be the next big thing in cybersecurity, an AI system so advanced it could predict cyber attacks before they happen. Sounds cool, right? Well, maybe if we actually had time to finish building it properly. Instead, Victoria Langley, our illustrious CEO, keeps pushing us to rush to launch because some investors are breathing down her neck. I glance up at the clock. 8:47 p.m. Everyone else has gone home except Marcus, who's sitting 2 desks over munching on stale chips from the kitchen. He's my best friend here. Though friend might be stretching it. He's more like the annoying older brother I never wanted but somehow tolerate anyway. You're still here, he says, crunching loudly. Go home, man. You've been at this since sunrise. I'm almost done debugging this module. I mutter without looking up. Marcus sighs dramatically. You know what your problem is. Ethan, you care too much. Nobody else gives a damn about perfection. Just slap a Band-Aid on it and call it a day. He's not wrong. But if I didn't care, who would? The next morning, I grab a cup of coffee, black, no sugar, and settle back into my routine. Around me, the office buzzes with chatter about the upcoming demo for Project Aegis. Apparently, Victoria has invited some big-shot investors to witness the future of cybersecurity. She's calling it a game changer, which makes me want to roll my eyes so hard they might get stuck. As I sip my coffee, Sophia walks by. She's new here, fresh out of Stanford with stars in her eyes, and a resume that probably cost more than my car. She notices me staring. Okay, maybe I was zoning out, and smiles shyly before ducking into a meeting room. Something about her reminds me of myself when I first started, eager, naive, and convinced I could change the world. Later that afternoon, Marcus pulls me aside. Hey, did you hear? They're talking layoffs again. My stomach drops. Layoffs aren't exactly uncommon in tech, but hearing it firsthand still hits differently. They wouldn't fire you, though, Marcus added quickly. Not after all the work you've done on Aegis. I force a laugh. Yeah, sure. Let's see how long that lasts once the project's complete. Deep down, I know Marcus is trying to reassure me, but I also know how this story usually ends. Once the product launches, the company moves on to the next shiny thing, leaving the engineers who built it behind. Still, I push the thought aside and focus on the task at hand. For now, there's nothing I can do but keep working. It's late Friday night when I find it. The vulnerability. At first, I think it's just another minor bug, the kind that crops up when you're dealing with complex algorithms. But as I dig deeper, my heart sinks. This isn't a small issue. It's a gaping hole in the system's defenses, one that could allow hackers to bypass every layer of security we've built. If this gets out, it won't just be embarrassing. It could destroy Nexera Tech. I stay up all night running simulations, double-checking my findings. By sunrise, I'm convinced we can't launch Project Aegis until this is fixed. Monday morning, I march into Victoria's office without an appointment. She looks up from her laptop, clearly annoyed. What is it, Ethan? There's a critical flaw in Aegis, I say, placing my report on her desk. If we go live with it now, we risk exposing millions of users to potential attacks. Victoria barely glances at the document. We don't have time for delays. The investors are expecting results. But... No buts, she snaps. Fix whatever needs fixing, but make sure it doesn't interfere with the timeline. Understood. I leave her office feeling sick to my stomach. Fixing this isn't a quick patch. It'll take weeks, maybe months. And judging by the look in her eyes, Victoria doesn't care. All she cares about is the bottom line. That night, I sit alone in my apartment, staring at my laptop. Sleep feels impossible. Every instinct tells me to walk away, to let Victoria deal with the consequences of her reckless decisions. But I can't. Instead, I start typing. By dawn, I've created a failsafe, a hidden backdoor embedded deep within Aegis's core algorithm. Only I know it exists, and only I can activate it. If things go south, I'll have the power to shut everything down remotely. It's risky, borderline unethical. But desperate times call for desperate measures. As I close my laptop, I whisper to myself, let's hope I never have to use this. The morning of the demo arrives, and the office feels like it's buzzing with electricity. Or maybe that's just my nerves. Everyone's dressed in their best tech casual outfits. Blazers over hoodies, jeans paired with leather shoes, and enough cologne to choke a horse. I'm wearing the same hoodie I've had for 3 years. But hey, at least it's clean. Victoria calls an emergency meeting an hour before the presentation. Her face is pale, her hands trembling slightly as she holds up a report. We've got a problem, she says, her voice tight. One of our beta testers flagged a potential security breach in Aegis. My heart skips a beat. Did someone already find the vulnerability? No, she couldn't know about that. Not yet. Before anyone can panic too much, I step forward. I fixed it last night. I say calmly. It was a minor issue, nothing major. Victoria narrows her eyes at me, suspicion written all over her face. But then she exhales sharply and nods. Good, because if this goes sideways today, heads will roll. Heads. Singular or plural? Probably both. The demo itself goes off without a hitch, at least on the surface. Victoria beams as she takes the stage, delivering her usual spiel about innovation and changing the world. Meanwhile, I sit in the back of the room, watching silently as the audience oohs and ahs over Aegis's capabilities. It's surreal, seeing something I poured my soul into being reduced to buzzwords and flashy graphics. When the lights come back on, there's applause. Lots of it. People are patting each other on the back, congratulating themselves for a job well done. And me? I just sit there, wondering how long it'll take before everything falls apart. 2 days later, I'm called into Victoria's office. Again. This time, though, Marcus is waiting outside, pacing nervously. When he sees me, his shoulders slump. Ethan, they're letting people go. You need to be careful. Thanks for the warning. I mutter, though I already know what's coming. Inside, Victoria doesn't even bother pretending to care. She motions for me to sit, but I stay standing. Ethan, she begins, leaning back in her chair like some kind of tech queen holding court. You've been a valuable asset to this company. But now that Project Aegis is complete, we're shifting priorities. Unfortunately, your position has become redundant. Redundant. That's corporate speak for you're fired. I should feel angry, betrayed, furious even. Instead, I feel numb, like this was inevitable. Am I getting a severance package? I ask flatly. She smirks, clearly relieved that I'm not putting up a fight. Of course. Standard terms apply. Standard terms. Translation, barely enough to cover rent for a month. As I walk out of her office, Marcus tries to stop me. Ethan, wait. What happened? I got canned, I say, shrugging. Congratulations, you survived another round of layoffs. He looks horrified. That's insane. After everything you did for Eeks. Save it. I interrupt. They don't care. None of them do. And for the first time since I started working here, I leave the building without looking back. Unemployment hits harder than I expected. For the first week, I sleep in late, binge-watch old sci-fi shows, and avoid answering calls from recruiters. My inbox fills up with automated rejection emails, each one more soul-crushing than the last. But then reality sets in. Rent's due soon, and my savings won't last forever. So I start applying for jobs, updating my LinkedIn profile, and forcing myself to network, even though networking makes me want to crawl under a rock and die. One evening, while scrolling through Twitter, I stumbled across a thread about Nexertech. Someone posted a screenshot of an internal memo detailing the sale of Project Aegis to Omnicorp, a rival company infamous for its shady data practices. My blood runs cold. Omnicorp isn't interested in using Aegis for good. They'll exploit it, twist it into something unrecognizable, and sell it to the highest bidder. Governments, corporations, whoever pays the most. And there's nothing I can do to stop them. Or is there? By the end of the second week, I've stopped moping around. Instead, I'm sitting at my kitchen table, surrounded by empty coffee cups and scribbled notes, plotting my next move. If Omnicorp thinks they can buy Aegis and use it however they want, they're dead wrong. I still have the failsafe, the hidden backdoor only I can access. Activating it would shut down the entire system globally, rendering it useless. But doing that outright would cause chaos. Hospitals, banks, governments, they'd all lose access to protection Aegis provides overnight. Innocent people would suffer. No, I need a smarter approach. Something subtle. Something that exposes Omnicorp's true intentions without blowing everything up. I reach out to Claire Bennett, an investigative journalist known for exposing tech scandals. We meet at a dingy cafe downtown, where I slide her a USB drive containing partial details of the backdoor. This should give you enough to start digging. I tell her, just don't mention my name, okay? She raises an eyebrow. Why not? Aren't you the hero of this story? I snort. Hardly. I'm just trying to clean up a mess I helped create. A few days later, Sophia texts me out of the blue. Can we talk? We meet at a park near my apartment. She looks nervous, fidgeting with the strap of her bag as she sits down beside me. So, she starts hesitantly. I heard about what happened, with you getting fired. I mean, that wasn't fair. No kidding, I reply dryly. She bites her lip. There's something else. Omnicorp offered me a job, a really good one, but I'm not sure I trust them. I study her face, searching for any sign of deception. Is she testing me? Or does she genuinely need advice? If you take the job, I say slowly, you can help me from the inside. Keep tabs on what they're planning. But it's risky. If they find out, I know, she interrupts, but I owe it to you, to everyone who worked on Aegis. For the first time in weeks, I feel a flicker of hope. Maybe I'm not alone in this after all. The next morning, I wake up to a notification on my phone. A breaking news alert. Claire Bennett's expose has hit the internet, and it's already going viral. The article, titled Cracks in the Code, Is Project Aegis Really Secure?, raises questions about potential vulnerabilities in Nexertech's flagship product. While Claire doesn't explicitly mention the backdoor or my involvement, she drops enough breadcrumbs to make people suspicious. By midday, tech forums are ablaze with speculation, and Omnicorp stock takes a nosedive as investors grow wary of acquiring a potentially flawed system. Victoria calls an emergency board meeting, which I follow via Marcus, who texts me updates from inside Nexertech. Apparently, Victoria is losing her mind, accusing everyone of leaking information while frantically trying to reassure stakeholders that Aegis is safe. She keeps saying it's just FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, Marcus writes. But no one believes her anymore. I smirk at his message. Good. Let her sweat for once. Later that evening, Sophia checks in with me. She's accepted the job at Omnicorp and will start next week. Her voice trembles slightly when she tells me this, but there's steel beneath the nerves. I'll do whatever it takes, she says firmly. Just promise me you won't disappear again, okay? We're in this together now. Her words catch me off guard. For so long, I've been used to carrying the weight of the world alone. Hearing someone else step up feels strange, but also kind of nice. Over the next few days, Claire continues to publish follow-up articles, each one digging deeper into Nexertech's questionable practices. One piece reveals how Victoria rushed the development of Aegis to meet investor deadlines, cutting corners on testing and oversight. Another highlights anonymous testimonials from former employees claiming they were pressured to ignore ethical concerns. Public pressure mounts, forcing Nexertech to delay the sale to Omnicorp indefinitely. Meanwhile, Regulators begin sniffing around, launching investigations into possible violations of data privacy laws. Victoria becomes increasingly unhinged. According to Marcus, she started micromanaging every aspect of the company, firing anyone she suspects of disloyalty. When he texts me that she accused him of leaking confidential information, I feel a pang of guilt, but not enough to intervene. He knew what he was signing up for when he agreed to help me. One night, as I scroll through social media, I come across a meme mocking Victoria. It shows her face photoshopped onto a cartoon villain, complete with a speech bubble that reads, "Prophet Uber Alice." I can't help but laugh. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? It doesn't take long for Victoria to retaliate. A week after Claire's initial expose, Marcus texts me late at night. She fired me today. Official reason? Compromising sensitive data. Utter bullshit. I call him immediately. His voice sounds hollow, exhausted. "I'm sorry, man. I say, this is my fault. If I hadn't dragged you into this." "Don't," he interrupts sharply. "You warned me what could happen. And honestly, I'd rather be unemployed than keep working for that sociopath." We talk for a while longer, and by the end of the conversation, Marcus seems calmer, almost relieved. "You know what's funny?" he says eventually. "For the first time in years, I don't feel trapped. Like I finally have a chance to figure out what I really want to do with my life." His optimism surprises me and inspires me. Maybe losing everything isn't the end of the world. Sometimes, it's just the beginning of something better. A few days later, I receive an email summoning me to a board meeting at Nexratech. At first, I think it's a mistake. Why would they invite me back after everything that's happened? But then I realize Victoria must see me as the source of all her problems. She wants answers, and she's willing to drag me into the lion's den to get them. When I arrive, the tension in the room is palpable. Victoria sits at the head of the table, flanked by nervous-looking executives. She fixes me with a glare that could melt steel. "Ethan," she says coldly, "explain yourself." "Explain what?" I ask innocently, taking a seat despite her obvious discomfort. "You know damn well what. These leaks, the rumors, the sabotage. Did you think we wouldn't find out?" I lean back, feigning nonchalance. "Sabotage? That's a strong word. Sounds like paranoia to me." Her jaw tightens. "Don't play dumb. You've been undermining this company since day one." "Funny," I reply, letting a hint of anger creep into my voice. "I seem to recall saving your ass more times than I can count. But sure, go ahead and blame the guy who actually gives a damn about doing things right." The room falls silent. For a moment, I wonder if I pushed too far. Then one of the board members clears their throat. "Perhaps we should consider Mr. Calloway's perspective," he suggests cautiously. Victoria looks like she's about to explode. That night, I activate the failsafe. From my laptop, I send a single command that ripples through Aegis's global network. Within minutes, the system goes dark. Hospitals scramble to switch to backup protocols. Banks freeze transactions. Governments issue emergency alerts. Chaos reigns. By morning, headlines scream about the unprecedented outage. Social media is flooded with complaints from businesses and consumers alike. OmniCorp releases a statement condemning Nexratech for its gross negligence, effectively killing any chance of completing the sale. Victoria panics, calling an emergency press conference to assure the public that the issue will be resolved quickly. But behind closed doors, she knows the truth. Without me, she has no way to fix Aegis, which means I hold all the cards now. 2 days later, I walk into Nexratech's headquarters unannounced. Security tries to stop me, but I flash a smug smile and say, "Tell Victoria I'm here to save her company." They let me through. When I enter the boardroom, Victoria looks like she hasn't slept in days. Her hair is disheveled, her suit wrinkled. Gone is a polished CEO. In her place stands a desperate woman clinging to the remnants of her empire. "What do you want?" she demands, her voice trembling. "It's simple," I reply, setting a folder on the table. Inside are detailed instructions for restoring Aegis, but only under specific conditions. No more sales to unethical companies. Full transparency moving forward. And you? You resign immediately. She stares at me, incredulous. You can't be serious. Oh, I am, I say, standing up. Your choice. Fix this mess or watch Nextera burn. With that, I walk out, leaving her to stew in her own failure. The next morning, I wake up to a barrage of notifications. News outlets are reporting that Victoria Langley has stepped down as CEO of Nextera, citing personal reasons. The board appoints Marcus as interim CEO, a decision that shocks absolutely no one who knows him. Marcus calls me right away. You did it, man, he says, his voice tinged with awe. You actually pulled it off. Not me, I reply, sipping my coffee. It was always about exposing the truth. You're the one cleaning up the mess now. He laughs nervously. Yeah, well, wish me luck. This place is a dumpster fire. We talk for a bit longer, and he fills me in on the board's plans to restructure the company. They've agreed to implement stricter ethical guidelines for future projects, including third-party audits and public transparency reports. It's a small victory, but it's something. Later that day, Claire Bennett publishes another article, this time titled, "The Man Who Stood Up to Big Tech." She doesn't name me directly, instead referring to me as a whistleblower who risked everything to hold powerful people accountable. For once, I don't mind being anonymous. With the dust starting to settle, I finally allow myself to breathe. Sophia texts me later that week, asking if we can meet. We grab coffee at the same park where she first told me about her job offer from Omnicorp. I quit, she says bluntly, stirring her latte. My eyes widen. What? Why? She shrugs. After seeing how they operate, I couldn't stay. Besides, she hesitates, then smiles softly. I think I'd rather work with you. I blink, caught off guard. With me? I'm not even employed right now. Exactly, she says, which means you can do whatever you want. Start fresh. Build something better. Her words linger in my mind long after our coffee date ends. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is my chance to create something meaningful, to use my skills for good instead of just surviving paycheck to paycheck. Over the next few weeks, I start sketching out ideas for a new venture, a nonprofit organization focused on developing ethical AI solutions. I call it Code for Good. Its mission is simple: to empower communities by creating technology that prioritizes transparency, fairness, and accountability. Word spreads quickly, thanks in part to Claire's glowing coverage of my role in taking down Nextera donations pouring from individuals and organizations eager to support the cause. Even some former Nextera employees reach out, offering their expertise. Sophia joins the team full-time, bringing her brilliance and boundless energy to the project. Together, we assemble a diverse group of engineers, ethicists, and activists, all united by a shared vision of a better future. One evening, as we sit in my tiny apartment-turned-office, surrounded by whiteboards covered in scribbles and diagrams, Sophia looks at me and says, "You know, Ethan, you're kind of inspiring." I snort. Yeah, right. Inspiring is just another word for stubborn. She laughs, but there's sincerity in her eyes. No, really. You stood up when no one else would. That takes guts. Her words make me uncomfortable, but also happy. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. As Code for Good gains momentum, I find myself reflecting on everything that happened. Losing my job at Nextera felt like the end of the world at the time, but looking back, it was the push I needed to break free from a toxic environment. Marcus checks in regularly, updating me on Nextera's progress under his leadership. He's working hard to rebuild trust with employees and clients, though he admits it's an uphill battle. At least we're doing things differently now, he tells me during one of our calls. No more shortcuts. No more lies. I believe him. Marcus has always been a good guy. He just needed the opportunity to prove it. Meanwhile, Sophia and I grow closer. Our late-night brainstorming sessions often turn into heartfelt conversations about life, dreams, and fears. One night, after a particularly intense debate about the ethics of facial recognition software, she leans over and kisses me. It's unexpected, but not unwelcome. Just when things seem to be falling into place, I stumble across something unsettling. While reviewing old code from Project Aegis, I noticed traces of another program embedded deep within its architecture. At first, I dismiss it as leftover junk from earlier development phases. But the more I investigate, the clearer it becomes. This isn't random debris. It's deliberate. Someone else has been manipulating Aegis all along. Whoever wrote this code is good, really good, and whoever they are, they've been hiding in plain sight, using Aegis as a Trojan horse to infiltrate systems worldwide. My stomach churns as I realize the implications. If this program is still active, it could mean disaster, not just for Nexrotech, but for everyone relying on Aegis for security. This isn't over, I whisper to myself, staring at the screen. I share my findings with Sophia and Marcus, both of whom look equally horrified. We need to warn the authorities. Marcus says immediately. No, I counter. If we go public with this, whoever's behind it will disappear before we can catch them. We have to handle this quietly. Sophia nods in agreement. But how? Whoever did this is leagues ahead of us. I hesitate, then type a single line of code into my laptop. It's risky but necessary. I'll track them, I say grimly. If they left a trail, I'll find it. As the others leave to prepare for what's coming next, I stay behind, staring at the blinking cursor on my screen. Deep down, I know this fight won't be easy. But one thing is certain, I won't stop until I uncover the truth, even if it costs me everything. Because sometimes, standing up for what's right isn't just about saving the world. It's about proving to yourself that you still can. The next morning, I wake up with a sense of purpose that's been missing for years. My laptop is already open on the kitchen table, its screen glowing faintly in the dim light. The hidden program buried within Aegis isn't just lines of code. It's a puzzle, and I've always loved solving puzzles. Sophia walks in, holding 2 steaming cups of coffee. She sets one down in front of me without saying a word. We don't need to talk. She knows what's at stake here. I dive into the code again, tracing every thread, following every breadcrumb. Whoever wrote this was meticulous, almost surgical in their precision. They left no obvious fingerprints, but there are patterns, subtle anomalies that only someone like me would notice. Hours pass, then days. Slowly, I begin piecing together the bigger picture. This isn't just some rogue developer messing around. It's part of something much larger, a coordinated effort involving multiple tech giants, all working together under the radar to create a global surveillance network. What does it mean? Sophia asks when I finally explain my findings. It means we're dealing with conspiracy. I reply grimly. And if we don't stop it, privacy as we know it will cease to exist. We can't fight this alone. That much is clear. So I reach out to Claire Bennett, the journalist who helped expose Nexrotech. She agrees to meet us at a quiet cafe downtown, where we lay everything on the table. This goes beyond corporate greed. I tell her it's about control, power. If these companies succeed, they'll own not just our data, but our lives. Claire listens intently, her pen scribbling furiously in her notebook. When I finish, she looks up, her expression unreadable. You realize how dangerous this is, right? She says. If you're wrong, you'll be labeled conspiracy theorist. And if you're right, well, let's just say people have disappeared for less. I'm not wrong. I reply firmly. She nods after a moment. All right, I'll help. But we do this my way. No more anonymous leaks. This time we go straight to the top. With Claire on board, we start assembling a coalition of allies, whistleblowers, hackers, activists, and even a few sympathetic insiders from rival companies. Each person brings a piece of the puzzle, helping us connect the dots between seemingly unrelated events. But not everyone is eager to join our cause. One former Nexer employee warns me off, his voice low and urgent. You're playing with fire, Ethan. These people don't play fair. Back off while you still can. I want to believe him. But backing off isn't an option anymore. Weeks turn into months as we gather evidence, building a case strong enough to take down the entire operation. Along the way, sacrifices are made. Marcus steps down as interim CEO of Nexrotech after receiving threats against his family. Sophia and I grow closer than ever, but the weight of what we're doing takes its toll. Finally, the day comes. Claire publishes her most explosive article yet, exposing the full scope of conspiracy. The response is immediate and overwhelming. Governments launch investigations. CEOs resign en masse. Protesters flood the streets, demanding accountability. But the battle isn't over. Late one night, as I sit alone in my apartment reviewing the final pieces of evidence, my computer screen flickers unexpectedly. A message appears, typed in stark white letters against a black background. You think you've won, Ethan? This was never about you. My blood runs cold. Before I can react, the screen goes dark and then reboots itself. Every file, every line of code I've worked on vanishes before my eyes. No. I shout, slamming my fist against the desk. Seconds later, my phone rings. It's Sophia. Her voice is trembling. They found us, Ethan. They know everything. I grab my jacket and bolt out the door. Whatever happens next, I won't face it alone. As I step into the night, I glance up at the stars. For the first time in a long time, I feel alive. Scared, yes, but alive. Because sometimes the greatest victories come not from winning, but from refusing to give up